Flooding and strong storms, putting Fox 17 News in a code red weather alert. What you need to do now to prepare.
An immigration crackdown in Tennessee. Why state Republicans say we're all living in a border state, and why Democrats disagree on the approach.
Combating the rising cost of childcare. The state plan to make it more affordable.
A trade war brewing. What more tariffs could mean for your bottom line.
And not on the label, the potential dangers inside baby food. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
Well, the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency on the same page as the Fox 17 Code Red weather team, putting you on alert for the threat of flooding.
You know, the waterways out there already swollen after days of rainy weather across the mid-state. And on Saturday, we have got more rain coming. And you know what that does? Just makes it worse. Fox 17 Code Red Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan here tracking the threat. And we're always talking about the timing, too.
The rain is going to be an all-day thing, but there will be times during the day where we're seeing heavier rain and flash flooding concerns that are higher as well.
And this is Saturday we're talking about?
This is Saturday. So this will begin early in the morning as far as the rain goes. I think the higher risk for flash flooding will begin mid to late morning, more so into the afternoon. And then the line comes through in the evening. That will be our severe thunderstorm threat. So there's a lot of layers to this system as it works its way across the area. Highest threat is going to be north and west of Nashville. Basically, I would say from a line from Nashville through Paducah right now. This line could still shift, but it's looking like 4 to 5 inches here with lesser amounts to the south and to the east. But again, the flash flooding concern is real as we head through Saturday. A great reminder right now, if you don't have it already, to scan that QR code. It'll send you to our app page where you can download the app to your phone for free. It really is great to give you alerts when there is threatening weather headed your way. It's got a great interactive radar too, so you can see where those heavy batches of showers are pushing in, and you can track thunderstorms as well. High pressure in control for now. We are dry. We will stay dry for Friday. So if there is some good news here, it's the fact that we get a nice Valentine's Day. One more dry day to prepare for the rain that is moving in. Few people out tonight, and temperatures cold. We're sitting at 28. Had a front come through, and we are chilly for tonight as we drop back into the mid-20s to low 20s even. Nashville around 23, Lebanon, Murfreesboro around 22, and low 20s, maybe a few upper teens like Hopkinsville at 18 degrees for the overnight. We're going to walk you through an hour-by-hour look with Future Track. We'll let you know what you can expect when, who has that highest threat, and yes, maybe the potential for a little bit of snow next week. My latest thoughts on that a little later in the newscast. Scott.
Katie, thank you. Covering the Capitol, and analysis from the latest census figures show there are 128,000 illegal immigrants here in Tennessee. Now, that number has Republican lawmakers downtown focused on deportation. Fox 17 News' Dennis Ferry here tonight to show us how they intend to crack down on this problem.
About 90 to 95% of all bills fail. So it's a big deal when anything makes the cut. Right now, bills that crack down on illegal immigrants are making the cut.
As the federal government continues to deport illegal immigrants, as the federal government works to close the border, the state of Tennessee is tightening its immigration laws. Majority Leader and anti-crime legislator William Lambert.
When you allow porous and open borders and you allow illegal immigrants to come into this country, sure, there are some good folks that come in, but there's an enormous number of illegal immigrants that come across the border that then come here and commit atrocious crimes like human trafficking.
Lambert is referring to 2 undocumented immigrants arrested as sex slavers in Nashville. One of the bills out right now pays for 1 hour of training for tattoo artists to recognize when sex slavery victims are being tattooed as property by the traffickers. Another bill, more controversial, gives local school districts the right to refuse enrollment for children who do not have legal status in the country. Some Democrats have called this inhumane and unnecessarily punishing children for something they have no control over. But the sponsor of the bill says counties like Rutherford County are pouring money into ESL teachers, and it's not fair or equitable to financially support people who have no legal standing here.
We're completely leaving these up to local school boards and school districts on whether or not they wish to check immigration status, just like they check residency right now. So they check to see if someone is legally within their area for a school board within that school zone, even to see which school they're going to go to. All we're saying is that if they choose to, they can also check immigration status to make sure that that person is actually legally in the country as well.
School vouchers may have stolen the headlines recently, but immigration is clearly a big issue on the Hill right now. We've already seen bills passed that make it a felony for any public official who votes in favor of sanctuary policies. That's going to be questioned in court. Also, new driver's licenses will be created for non-citizens, and there's a new state immigration enforcement office. I'm Dennis Ferrier, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Dennis, thank you. Tonight's Fox 17 viewer poll is asking on X if you agree with Tennessee's plan to staff its own immigration enforcement division. 294 votes in right now. 82.7% say yes, we're behind that idea. A little over 17% say not so much. The poll's live right now. If you would like to cast your vote, just scan the QR code there on the right-hand side of your screen. It'll take you to our X page. Our handle's @Fox Nashville, and we will take another look at your votes coming up tonight on Fox 17 News at 10.
Budgeting for childcare is expensive, whether you can afford being a parent or not. It's expensive.
Continuing coverage from the state capitol, where Governor Lee says he wants to make childcare more affordable. The governor says he wants to help working parents and childcare providers by expanding state-funded assistance programs. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan with reaction from parents and child care providers.
Putting politics aside, the families who need this the most say that this is a great first step, but there are some things that need to change to the already existing programs. Many parents and educators say quality childcare is hard to come by.
We are losing really good teachers, and so therefore, in order for us to retain and maintain, we have to be able to pay them.
The state's wages program aims to address this by supplementing salaries for early childhood educators. The governor, during his Monday State of the State address, proposed to expand this program, which in turn he says would reduce turnover, low pay of early educators, and reward them for delivering quality education.
Allowing for more daycare spots and greater access for families in need.
But for many families, the challenge isn't just the quality of care, it's the cost.
At one point, I paid $390 a week. It was impossible to manage.
Smart Steps, another program the governor vowed to expand, is designed to help lower-income families afford childcare. But some say that the process of applying can be frustrating.
If you needed to submit another document, if you needed to add more information, you won't know that until you're denied.
And for parents juggling work and family, a lack of communication adds to the stress. Still, though, many believe that these programs are a step in the right direction.
We still have so many working families that are moving to our city and our state, so it's always great to have that particular line item every year.
And for families who rely on childcare to keep working, the need for continued support is critical.
If he continues with the promise to, support families in early childhood education, such as these programs, then, it'll make it much easier later on.
Questions remain about how quickly these families are going to see change, if Governor Lee is going to live up to this promise, and if there's going to be needed support down the line to live up to these rising costs. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, members of both parties weighing in on issues impacting our state. You can see raw interviews from both sides on the Fox Nashville YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe.
Continuing coverage tonight, advocacy groups are pushing Governor Lee to reconsider his plan to end participation in a federal food program. The summer EBT program gives local families debit cards that they can use when the kids are not in schools getting meals. A recent Vanderbilt poll shows that more than 40% of Tennessee families say they struggle with food insecurity. With inflation and food costs both going up, advocates say ending this particular program would leave children hungry. The deadline for the state to renew its participation is Saturday. Now, Fox 17 News has been following the fate of this program for weeks now. You can see all of our previous reporting on our website, fox17.com.
The verdict is in for a Tennessee woman on trial for killing her baby. What she did immediately after the jury found her guilty.
This community is thriving. This will be one of the greatest parks to come to.
The long-awaited reopening of a park once taken over by the homeless. The security measures Metro has in place to keep the homeless from taking it over again. Crime and Justice, hours after being found guilty of murdering her 15-month-old daughter, Megan Boswell now is asking for a new trial.
Well, a jury convicted the 23-year-old East Tennessee woman on all 19 charges and sentenced her to life in prison with the possibility of parole.
Outside the Sullivan County Courthouse, protesters holding signs to remember 15-month-old baby Evelyn, reported missing in 2020.
When I heard about Evelyn the first time, it's like she was my own child. I will never stop feeling that way about Evelyn. I know many people feel the same way about Evelyn, and we're gonna do things in her name and to honor her for as long as I'm alive.
Inside the courtroom, baby Evelyn's mother, Megan Boswell, on trial for her baby's murder 5 years later, after the toddler was found dead, wrapped in a blanket and tinfoil, and stuffed in a trash can. And finally, the verdict.
A jury of your peers having found you guilty.
Life in prison with the possibility of parole. Within hours, Megan Boswell's attorney appealed, claiming his client has been proven a liar, but not a murderer. Still standing by the claim, the baby died of sudden infant death syndrome.
I was surprised. I'm disappointed in the verdict. I don't agree with the verdict. I respect the process, but we don't agree with the ultimate verdict. I was surprised. I thought that enough had been shown about the medical examiner's testimony and the cause of death that would give the jury reasonable doubt.
The state, while pleased with the conviction, acknowledges this case and the details were graphic.
It's very difficult, and it's difficult to show something like that to a jury or to the public, but it's important that we show everyone what Megan Boswell did. It's difficult, but we're willing to do it to find justice.
Well, as it stands right now, 23-year-old Megan Boswell will be eligible for parole when she's 69 years old.
Weather's going to be the big focus for the next couple of days for us as we just try to warn people.
Certainly.
It's really rainfall that I want to make sure that we're stressing on the most, and I feel like that doesn't often get the headlines that it deserves. In this case, it most definitely deserves the headline as we look at a moderate risk for flash flooding. Now, the flood watch is in effect for all of Middle Tennessee. I would even lump in Lincoln, Moore, and Franklin County, even though National Weather Service in Huntsville has not issued that flood watch. I would consider it still part of Middle Tennessee. I've gone ahead one step further and circled the area here where I think the highest risk for flash flooding will be. This is going to be likely where we have those higher rain totals. So from a line, we'll even extend it as far south as Murfreesboro through the viewing area close to Paducah. I would say that's going to be the area we're watching, and that's giving us a little bit of error as far as the shift goes. So there's an axis of heavy rain that will set up somewhere in that circle, and that's going to be where we have the highest risk for flash flooding as we go through Saturday afternoon. The good news is we have one more dry day to enjoy, a sunny day too. And it's Valentine's Day, so that's nice. I just want to make sure that you're preparing for what is coming ahead on Saturday. As far as our severe weather threat goes, it deserves some notice. It's not the main threat, though, believe it or not. Still, it's not a zero threat. We don't want to ignore it. Along and south of 40 has the best potential for a few strong to severe storms, and that would be as the main line is coming through. So timing is a little later in the day, after 3 p.m. through about midnight. Damaging wind, hail, and yes, maybe a tornado or two will be possible. I still think, though, that heavy rain and flash flooding will be the main threat that we need to keep our eye on. So overall, just a pretty active day for Saturday. And it begins early in the morning. Rain may begin light, so it will fill in through the early morning hours on Saturday. May start light, but as we get into the late morning, you can see that we do start to pick up with heavy rain. And notice where the model is putting that heavy rain right now, between Nashville and Paducah at this time. So that's going to be where we have more of those heavy showers kind of training over the same locations, and that would be the biggest concern. It's still quite possible to see this shift even more outside the viewing area, but for now, I'm still putting basically Murfreesboro to Paducah and along the I-40 corridor, really. That's going to be the area that we're looking at for highest rain totals as we go through the afternoon. Notice the main line then coming through Saturday night, 8 p.m. Then we get closer to 9-10 p.m. here in Nashville, and then toward midnight as we get toward the Cumberland Plateau. Heading into early Sunday morning, we can all take a deep breath as things quiet down. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a flurry or two even for early Sunday morning, but that will not have any winter weather impact for us. So focus again is that rain. Here are our rain totals for Saturday. 4 to 5 inches possible in our northwestern counties, and it goes down from there. 3 to 4 range for Nashville, and then 2 to 3 as we head a little bit south and east. I think we're going to be looking at some impact, but not as much impact in our southeastern counties and communities, Tullahoma, McMinnville, Crossville, Cookeville, Murfreesboro. Again, still seeing the potential for flooding rainfall, but that higher threat, or the threat, is more elevated as we head towards Nashville, Clarksville, Hopkinsville, Dickson, out to Camden, Paris, Gallatin, Springfield. These are all places that we'll really want to keep an eye on as we go through Saturday. So highest threat too, I think, especially in urban areas, will be streets and roads. If you know a road or live by a street or road that is prone to flooding, I would expect it to have some issues on Saturday. Creeks and streams and rivers will also need to be watched as well. They will be on the rise as we go through the next couple of days beyond Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So that will be a lingering impact from what we see. Flash flooding will be the main concern for streets and roads, and even creeks and streams. We can see those rise quickly as well. Speaking of, we will talk more about some of our area river levels and what we can expect, how high they may get over the next few days. That coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
I'm Atrell Nashar in Washington, where President Trump just put trading partners on notice. The details of his new plans for even more tariffs coming up.
In once Nashville's biggest homeless camps, a park again? What's being done to keep Brookmead Park clean?
Tonight, President Trump is ordering federal agencies now to look into what he's calling reciprocal tariffs to all of our trade partners.
And as Fox 17 News' Atra El Nashar reports, the move is raising fears of a new trade war while inflation rises.
President Trump putting the world on notice. His administration now intends to raise tariffs to match taxes that trading partners charge for American imports.
This is something that should have been done many years ago.
It won't happen right away. Cabinet officials will take until April 1st to produce reports the president will use to make his next moves. This gives trading partners time to negotiate with the White House, which is wrestling with warnings that tariffs can easily come back to bite the American consumer.
Prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down.
The president's announcement came 2 days after he signed off on 25% tariffs for steel and aluminum. News that rattled allies, now considering retaliatory action.
If he wants to play hardball, the EU will play hardball.
China has already imposed 10% retaliatory tariffs on American imports, matching President Trump's new levy on Chinese goods. A different strategy coming from India, whose Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the White House Thursday.
We're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce in the very near future.
Allies argue the tariffs are uncalled for and are trying to get the president to stand down.
We will be working with the American administration over the coming weeks to highlight the negative impacts.
They harm workers, they harm consumers because the prices go up. They create unnecessary economic disruption.
Back in the U.S., a Lending Tree survey finds 3 in 4 Americans believe tariffs will increase prices.
There's an awful lot of people out there who are concerned about the potential for prices to rise, even though we don't necessarily know how all of this is going to play out.
Experts will closely watch how this could impact interest rates, too. The Federal Reserve is already less inclined to lower rates after a new consumer inflation report showed prices rose last month. The effects of tariffs could make their mandate to stabilize prices even tougher. In Washington, I'm Atra El Nashar.
New tonight, the entire state rattled by a small earthquake. It registered, get this, a 2.4 magnitude quake. They used to call it the Richter scale. Now they refer to it as a magnitude quake. Happened this afternoon in Jackson, which is about 2 hours west of Nashville, right on I-40. This, by the way, is the 11th micro quake here in the Mid-South since September of last year.
A new beginning, the changes inside a West Nashville park once overtaken by the homeless.
A lot of people in Tennessee are still picking up the pieces after deadly storms swept through our state earlier this month. Why some local leaders are warning that a lot of federal money might not be coming for them. We'll have that story for you Friday on Fox 17 News This Morning.
A lot of people said this day would never come.
And the high cost of homelessness now after years of drugs, safety concerns, and a very costly cleanup. Brookmead Park in West Nashville is back open for the community to enjoy.
Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen has been tracking the concerns stemming from homeless camps at Brookmead Park for years. She has reaction to the park's new beginnings and the steps that police are taking to keep it safe.
Just a few years ago, if I was in this same exact spot, you'd see tents all around me here at Brookmead Park. But now this park is ready to welcome a community that fought for this day to happen.
It wasn't long ago when Brookmead Park looked like this. You'd see trash, tents, drug needles, and fires. But now, a clear walkway, no sign of trash, and a moving riverfront.
It's been wonderful. I haven't seen the park look like this for 14 years.
Rebecca Lowe and Dee Dee Bird spent years advocating for the park to return to the community.
This community is thriving. Will be one of the greatest parks to come to.
But what safety measures are in place so Brookmead doesn't turn back into a homeless encampment?
You'll see that a fence has been installed and that an automatic gate has been installed as well, in addition to some cameras that you'll see here in the parking lot.
Metro Parks Police Captain Greg Davis also says there are cameras located inside the park, as well as the automatic gate to prevent entry into the park when it's closed.
There will be an enhanced presence in the park beginning today. Our park officers will start and end their shifts here at the park to ensure that everyone is able to safely exit the park.
While Bird and Lowe have some concerns, they're optimistic Parks Police will do their job.
If Metro Parks Police, if they do what they say they're going to do, if they enforce the laws and ordinances that are on the books, if they do their job, this will be one of the safest parks and greenways to come to.
Something that's in the works here at Brookmead, a 9-hole disc golf course. Of course, that's still in the very early stages. Reporting at Brookmead Park, I'm Amanda Chen, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Well, Fox 17 News will continue to track the progress in the weeks to come, and you can see all of our reporting on the work to clean it up on our website, fox17.com. Well, tax season on the horizon, and many people are starting the mad scramble to get filed on time. It can be time-consuming and stressful to make the April 15th deadline, so we've turned to the professionals for help. Joining us now is Mark Stieber, Chief Tax Officer at Jackson Hewitt Tax Services. Mark, thanks for being here.
Very exciting time to get your money.
Well, first of all, what's new or different this year?
Well, every year's different, but this year there's a couple things to watch for. There is a new threshold for people who get paid through their business using those third-party platforms. Think Venmo, Apple Pay, PayPal. If you're getting more than a certain amount, you'll get a 1099-K showing that amount, and so will the IRS. The amount used to be $20,000 and 200 transactions before the third-party platform was required to issue that. Now it's unfortunately down to 600. The good news is for 2024, this year, it's a transition year, so it's $5,000. 2025, it'll be $2,500, and then in 2026, it'll be that $600. So if you're getting paid through your business and you're getting more than $5,000 in 2024, watch for that 1099-K this year.
Well, Mark, what do you tell people who have already mailed in their taxes but then realized they made a mistake?
And that's very common, much more common than you'd think, and it's good news, bad news. Good news is it's pretty easy to go and amend. You'll file a 1040-X or get your tax pro to help with that. You have up to 3 years to go back and add a credit or a benefit or something you left off. Now, I said good and bad. Bad news, the IRS also has 3 years to go and take a look at your stuff. So it's good to get it right on the front end, but if you don't, there's a period of correction by which you can go get that money.
What about people who owe money and are just in a position where they can't pay right now?
Well, there's good news. Ever since about the pandemic, the IRS takes a lot of bad press about the mean and how they're coming to get you. That's really just not the case and couldn't be farther from the truth. They want to help you. Tax pros want to help you. And there's a variety of programs to help you pay over time, an installment agreement. There's even forgiveness programs, not those ones you see on late night TV about the guys that have a guy in their office. Those are usually not true. But there are programs that can forgive tax debt, can finance over time. The worst thing you can do is just kick it down the road until you're ready to work on it. By then, penalties, interest, money to clean up, sometimes even larger than the tax liability itself. So if you owe and you can't pay, see a pro. They can get you fixed in something that is tolerable by you, understandable by the IRS, and keep you out of harm's way.
And the eastern part of the state we know severely impacted by Hurricane Helene last year. What advice do you have for folks who endured natural disasters in 2024?
Yeah, it's a delicate topic, and I live in Florida, so we certainly have hurricanes, and we talk with people all across the country. There's good news and more good news. Once you have your house in order, and by that I mean your life and your family safe and secure, there are some of the best tax rules in the tax code having to do with natural disaster. You see the ones about extending of time to pay or to file, but that's only the tip of the iceberg on some of the benefits that you can take advantage of if you have suffered an economic catastrophic loss. And there's no better place to go than the tax code to help you get yourself back on track with either immediate fast back tax refund requests and delay of payment of other taxes. So if you've had damage, and by that I mean economic damage, you know it when you see it. See a tax pro to find out what else you have besides some of the extended timelines, because that's only part of the benefit that's in the tax code that are your tax rules.
All right, Mark Stieber with Jackson Hewitt Tax Services. April 15th will be here before you know it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Go get your money.
Well, as we head on into Saturday, we're going to be talking about the possibility for some flooding. We've been talking about it for the past couple of days now. So I wanted to show you this map right here. These are some of the various river levels at different river gauges that we have here across Middle Tennessee. So all these green and yellow circles, orange circles that are on the map, those are all different river gauges that we have access to. So I want to take you kind of through a few of these. This is going to be the first one right here. Cumberland River at Nashville. The forecast crest, 36.7 feet. We should hit that around very early Monday morning. That's going to keep us in that action stage right there. Still a little bit below that minor flood stage. Also over here in that white box, I've got some of the historic crest, and I'm going to have that for each one of these that we go through as well. A little bit south of that, though, south of the Cumberland River at Nashville, we're going to go down to Mill Creek at Antioch. Forecast crest there, 13.9 feet early Sunday morning. That's going to keep us in action stage, but we're really not far away at all from that minor flood stage right there, Mill Creek at Antioch. South of that, moving on down into Williamson County, this is the Harpeth River at Franklin. Forecast crest there, 24.6 feet. That should be coming Sunday by about noon or so. That's going to keep us in action stage, and that's still going to be a few feet below that minor flood stage for the Harpeth River at Franklin. And now a little bit to the southwest of that, this is going to be for the Duck River at Centerville. Forecast crest, 18 feet right there. That's going to come early Friday morning. That'll also keep us in action stage about 4 feet below the minor flood stage right there. And then up north of that, this is going to be for the Clarksville area, the Cumberland River at Clarksville. The forecast crest there right at 50 feet. That should be coming very early Monday morning, but that 50 feet, that puts us right at that moderate flood risk. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye out for any potential flooding as we go through Saturday, even the next few days following that as well, on top of the chance for some strong to severe thunderstorms for Saturday.
This Fox 17 News Code Red Alert is sponsored by Sarah Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac.
Setting the stage for the Daytona 500, why drivers are prepared for anything in the Great American Race.
Having a lead-poisoned child, it's completely preventable.
Not on the label, the push to remove potentially toxic ingredients from baby food. Well, the NASCAR Cup Series kicking off its new season this weekend with the crown jewel of racing, the Daytona 500.
I love it. Kind of smiling it's starting here. You can watch the race here on Fox 17, by the way, which will mark the beginning of the 10-month racing season that will end in November. Chase Briscoe won the flag during qualifying for the big race last night. Briscoe says starting first on Sunday is going to be an advantage, and it's going to be great at the beginning, but he says because this is such a long race, the key is making sure you're still on the track at the end. Briscoe says they don't call it the Super Bowl of stock car racing for nothing.
You know, this is the only race when you wake up on Sunday morning of the Daytona 500, when you go to bed that night, your life can literally be changed forever. So, you know, we just don't have any other races that do that. So it's going to be a special day on Sunday, and hopefully, you know, I can, like I said, keep it up there now that we start up there.
Good luck there, Chase. The Daytona 500 begins at 1:30 Sunday afternoon, and again, you can watch it right here on Fox 17.
Coming up, we'll talk more about the heavy rain threat that is on the way, how much more we could see, and how you can prepare.
And hidden ingredients, the dangers that could be lurking in your child's baby food and the push for change.
And violent vandals, the random destruction, you see it right here, causing concern.
Spotlight on America's investigations inspired a law in Maryland protecting infants from toxic heavy metals in baby food.
And a movement that started there is now growing nationwide. As Fox 17 News' Lisa Fletcher shows us, Congress and federal regulators are both facing pressure to do something.
Touch your fingers to the raindrops.
The story of little Rudy Callahan's life began with a terrifying chapter. Acute lead poisoning from his favorite snack, pouches of cinnamon applesauce.
Or Frankenstein. You love Halloween.
Rudy, now 2.5, was one of hundreds of kids nationwide poisoned by the potent neurotoxin that went undetected and unpoliced.
And that's what's the most frustrating about having a lead-poisoned child. It's completely preventable.
Rudy's mom, Sarah, says he will likely never be free of the toxin or its potential effects.
It still makes you really emotional.
It does.
Why is that?
Because it's something that Rudy's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. And so I want other families to be able to avoid that hurt and that pain.
Triggered by our reporting, last year Maryland became the second state in the U.S. after California to pass a law requiring manufacturers test baby food for heavy metals.
House Bill 97, Senate Bill 723, Rudy's Law.
And include a QR code on the label for consumers to see the results. Since that groundbreaking piece of legislation, dubbed Rudy's Law, at least 5 other states have taken up the cause, including here in Virginia.
It's absolutely personal for me.
Delegate Michelle Lopez Maldonado first became concerned about toxic heavy metals in baby food after her own son experienced health issues as an infant. 20 years later, she's leading the charge.
I haven't met anybody who doesn't care about this bill.
Maldonado says her bill could pass in the next few months, adding to the list of states that have moved swiftly when the federal government did not.
The most important, impactful things that have changed in this country over our history has never come from the top. It has always come from the bottom and the middle and crescendoed up to force the system to change. This is no different.
And it's already changing as QR codes are starting to appear on baby foods nationwide.
What's it going to be like for you to walk into the grocery store, pick up a jar of baby food with a QR code on it, and know that the law that made that happen is named after your son?
I will be very excited. It's definitely bittersweet because this should not have happened, but I will be so excited when I walk into a grocery store and I see a QR code. I probably, even though he doesn't eat baby food anymore, will be the first person to scan it. And we've come a long way.
Rudy's remaining chapters are yet to be written, but Sarah Callahan won't stop until there are more laws on the books.
I will testify before the remaining 47 states. I will do anything to get bills passed to try to get poison out of baby food.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Lisa Fletcher.
We are continuing to follow action on this on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers have vowed to reintroduce a federal Baby Food Safety Act during this legislative session.
A couple days to prepare for a big weather event headed our way on Saturday, with the biggest risk being flooding.
Yep, and now's the time really to make sure that everything's clear, especially in those drainage ditches in front of your house. A lot of times leaves can, and even still through the winter months, leaves and debris from the fall could still be there and can collect. And so it's always a good reminder to pick that up and clear it out so the water can flow when it does arrive. This is our 3-day rain total. So anywhere between 2 to 4 inches really has been the story for a lot of us in Middle Tennessee. And we're going to add an additional 2 to 5. And some of those higher amounts look to be to the north and west of Nashville as we head through Saturday afternoon. Again, here's the latest map on what we could see as far as how much rainfall is possible. This heavy rain here could shift more to the south and east or more to the north and west. still possible. So all of us need to stay vigilant and aware as we head through the day. And remember, a reminder, the difference between a flash flood and a flood. Flash flood is when we see water rising quickly. It can be caused by heavy rainfall over a short period of time, generally less than 6 hours. Flooding rain is lots of rain over several days, and that causes our area, creeks, streams, and rivers to slowly rise. We will see a little of both of this, I think, for Saturday, and the flood threat will linger as we head into next week as all of that rain continues to drain going into Sunday, more so into Monday. Again, making sure you're clearing debris from those ditches is one way to make sure that you can keep the waterways flowing near your house. Let's shift focus a little bit here and talk a little bit about the snow potential for next week. I've had a lot of questions on this, and my first reaction is let's stay focused on Saturday first, because we're still 6 days out from this event. But since everyone's been asking, here's what we know right now. It's iffy at this point. I know there have been a lot of models that have been kind of dancing around on Facebook and on social media of a foot of snow here and crazy amounts of snow there. All of those are clickbait. So at this point, there's really no sense at looking at those one-run models because they will change several times a day. So still, we're in this pattern recognition phase. We're getting ready to shift more into that 4 to 5 day range, but still watching the pattern, what the overall pattern may look like for next week. I will tell you the trends as of late have been less snow than what we had a few days ago. So with that, we still are looking at these ensemble models. Remember, that's a group of models that blend together and give us an idea of what we may or may not see. These are two of our models that we put a lot of stock into. The GFS ensemble, anywhere between 20 to 40% of 1 inch of snow or greater right now. The European ensemble, a little bit higher, around 40 to 60%, and this is for the Nashville area, for next Wednesday and Thursday. So is there a chance? Yeah, there's a chance, but that's about all we can tell you for now, especially since we're mainly focused with this event coming in on Saturday. Valentine's Day on Friday, and Saturday is our code red day. Temperatures will jump from 48 to 64 come Saturday, 46 on Sunday, a little bit of light rain, maybe a flurry. And then looking at colder air to return for next week. Some snow showers are possible for Wednesday. It's still way too soon to know anything about accumulation.
Thank you, Katie. Still ahead, a shocking sight during the Super Bowl. The growing concern about this violent vandalism.
And under recall, what has Igloo pulling these coolers off store shelves?
On camera, violent vandalism on several cars.
You know, it was a surprising turn of events on Super Bowl Sunday.
You can see he just goes smash, smash, smash.
Yeah, that sounded expensive. Folks near Seattle, Washington, coming out to find that their car windows were smashed in and glass everywhere. No one was outside when it happened, but several security cameras caught the whole thing.
Now, police found the windshield wiper the person ripped off of the vehicle to smash the other cars with.
Just to destroy property, just to destroy it, just to kind of, it seems like to hurt others that you don't know is like just kind of gross.
Absolutely. So far, though, no leads in this case, but police are hoping that this video, which clearly somebody may recognize, will change that.
Well, pulling coolers from store shelves, what's behind a recall by Igloo? A Fox 17 News recall alert tonight as Igloo says one of its coolers could cause cuts, fingertip amputations, and even broken bones.
That's quite the list there. Now, the recall involves these 90-quart models, flip and tow rolling coolers, they call it. Sold from 2019 all the way up until last month, and they sell it at a bunch of places. Costco, Target, Academy Sports, Dick's Sporting Goods, Amazon, they all sold them. Now, Igloo says the problem's caused by that lift handle on the end.
watch your paws. And if you have one of these coolers, you're urged to stop using it, contact Igloo, and they'll give you a free replacement handle.
A new Doge website keeping tabs on its work. I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, and I'll have the story coming up.
I'm Christine Frizzell in Washington, taking a closer look at vaccines, why the medical community is sounding alarm bells while others continue to question their efficacy.